Shiny and grand and soft and sweet. Tools in hand, bulldozers throw. Shiny and grand and soft and sweet. Tools in hand, nflow waits, ready to fight. 3 force of that draw, glowing light. Nflow's magic, very fast, changing things, making them last.
So since it's the daylight, we are back to being sane, and we are just gonna get back to work normally. I model for fun during hours, I model for fun after hours. That's my problem. I need different hobbies. If you're playing Resident Evil 4, just letting you know, it's a single player game though, so if you get at me, I'm just gonna ask you, what's your high score, what's your name on the online thing. Also if you're registering your high scores after you have died. So we're just kind of just dancing around the mesh. Let me grab the space mouse. People love the space mouse. And we're just taking a look at this. Got a real dense cylinder here. Yeah. Today's not a Monday, but we'll treat today like a Monday. And I had a little candy. Not gonna lie. I'm only bringing it up because, it's not even lunchtime, and I already had an airhead. And full disclosure, I had 2 airheads and a bag of Skittles. And that's how I know I gotta stop with all the candy. I might like candy a little more than I indicated. But I'm telling you, these convenience stores, they were doing me so dirty. That's what makes me so mad. They would smile at me. They're like, oh, hey, my friend. Candy bars 2 for $1 and I'm your friend? What were you doing to your enemies in your life before you came? Never mind. Sorry, that's how I get myself canceled. Look, I'm not trying to get myself canceled for that. I'm trying to get myself canceled for funny stuff. But I guess I'll be canceled for AI, which I didn't even expect. I thought I'd be canceled for other stuff, but it appears that people still care about that. And, I guess I'm the dark evangelist that has to come out and tell people, like, hey, we're dead, guys. We're so dead. We're intimately in this field, and because of that, we just see hope, and we have hope, but really there is no hope. And I know that sounds terrible. But it just is true. Like, we're in a field, we're gonna have to evolve. Like, if you're creating meshes and your goal is to create meshes for the man, which I think I was talking about this like 10 years ago, about how if we're creating meshes for the man, one day the man's not gonna need meshes anymore, and then what are we gonna do? And that's like the nightmare of just 3D in general, right? Like, we are like wet workers, like Solid Snake, and then one day they're like, we don't need you anymore, you old warrior. In fact, your skills being completely replaced. I mean, I'm not trying to be a told you so, but I mean, it kind of was always gonna happen to us in the field of 3D. So I'm just not surprised. It's a cold boot of capitalism. Like I said, in other videos, I just remember everything I've ever said ever, because I don't be bullshitting. I say the same thing over and over, but in America, it's a big old rat wheel, so there's no end to it, and I'm obsessed with that fact, like the fact that we have this rat wheel that doesn't have an end. It's like, wow. No wonder other artists have met dire fates, and we gotta do something about that. That can't be the path of 3D. Otherwise, it's not even a viable field. This needs to go down like being a warrior in battle. It's like, in this field you have a high chance of passing away. It's like, word. It's like, yeah, it's just a dark field. You get to make a bunch of cool art though. It's like, oh, okay. But yeah, we got to think about how we want to end as a 3D artist, and I know, so dark, but, it's something I've talked about for years with people, because I'm just a morbid person. They're like, why do you think about this stuff? I'm like, I don't know. Shouldn't we think about it? And I'm in my own configuration. I was using another man's configuration last night, which to me is like basically using another person's program, and that's not even a bad thing. I love it. Like, I love the experience, that sensation of learning things and figuring things out. Like, that's why, I'm not even worried about the tool nsolve. Like, people will get it, people will not get it, but I do love all the comparisons. People are like, it's basically like this, it's like this, it's like, yeah, it's, and I agree with everybody. It's like, yeah, it's like this, like, yeah, it's like that. Thank you for figuring it out for me, because I don't know. And that is the point. Like, I need the help of the people to basically tell me what it is. So everybody's like, no, it's like this. Like, yeah, it is. Like, I'm just glad that it's like something, because what if y'all are saying, it's like nothing? And I'm like, oh, yeah, they're like, hey, this thing don't make no sense. This thing is dumb. Then I would be like, oh snap, that's actually terrible. But no, if it's like something, ooh, pay dirt, we're gonna get somewhere. That means y'all are literally handing me an entire tree of concepts when you compare it to something. You're like, hey, it's like this program. I'm like, word, because I wasn't thinking of anything in Blender at the time. A bunch of Blender things happened over the course of making the tool, and those are purely coincidental. I'm not even joking. That's the weirdest part, is that when the plan was made, it was because Retopo Flow was done. I was like, yo, Retopo Flow is good, dude. Like, it's good. There's like no more need for them to do anything. So we can exist now. But then they came back, they're like, yo, Retopo 4. It's like, oh snap. How are we gonna deal with that? And then over the course of development, this other thing called Polyquilt came about. I was like, oh snap. Dang. This is getting crazy. Everybody's coming to life. And the thing about Polyquilt is it was dead. And it was brought back to life by someone who just brought it back to life just for kicks, because they needed it. They're not even the original person, so it's just crazy that Polyquilt came back to life, because I didn't even know what it was. I was like, oh snap, someone's already attempted this. And so that also granted validity to the idea. I look at things as any coincidences as a form of flattery, as a form of trajectory confirmation, because it's important to have something to base things on. And also, it's very hard to explain things without a base. Like, I was trying to explain it in the context of another program, and that's why it was very frustrating to make, because I'm like, I need it to be like this other program, and they're like, but you say it. Blender's not that other program. I'm like, I know. Don't use my own lines against me, but we need this thing. We need this thing, and we need it to feel very familiar. Very familiar. And I know, these are very weird requests, like to say, oh, it's got to feel familiar. But, I mean, and we're just cleaning up. I'm just goofing off and talking. And this is how I just waste time. What you see me doing now. And speaking of wasting time, let's Alt 4, let's flow back in, let's press D, let's bring up the help display. I've been kind of riding without the help display just to pretend like I hate it. I don't hate it, of course. I love it because I requested everything. We're just looking at project line, and what I want to see is if we have project loop in here, and we don't. Let's look at P2. Do we have project loop? Nope. Let's look at Selecto. Do we have project loop? And we don't. And it would be crazy if we were able to... Wait, this is it right here. But we need to probably go in Tor mode to be able to read it. I'm really anti... I call this truncation, where things are shortened. I get really mad about it. Like, I do hate that a lot. And also we have labels, and so we don't want that. We want to just say the name. So let's see, we got project line, but we don't have project loop in here. And we could have it right here where we are just projecting it, but instead we'll just use a little bit of nsolve. I just experiment between what it's like to be the user, and I just jump around. The official way that the tool is supposed to be used hasn't even been decided yet, and that's the beauty of it, is the users will decide that. The rules of the game, that'll also be decided by you, the user. You'll be showing me how you use it, and we'll be able to figure out, these are defaults, these are the rules, this is what we need to make it do to adhere to this discipline, this discipline, this discipline, this discipline, on a basic level. Like, the only thing I really want to focus on with this tool, ideally, is just the configuration base, and make it the best for everyone of every discipline, because then we can start providing blocks that are very familiar to people of very different programs. just blocks, just little blocks, just little things that, you know, the commitment will be low. You'll be able to just like it, hate it, use it, not use it, reject it, not use it. It's fine. Doesn't matter. You don't have to tell me, hey, I'm not using it. I'm like, good, don't use it. Let's actually go to select. I'm going to do check or deselect. It's just that's the joke I always talk about. Like, people are always telling me, they're like, hey, I'm not using that. 31 edges, Stellar. Come on, Stellar, you're killing me, man. Alright, look, sorry. I gotta stop I gotta stop breaking the fourth wall and talking to him. That will make me remove the video because I'm not trying to talk smack to my buddy Stellar. I actually love Stellar. Stellar's great. But, dang, man, how many verts in this cylinder, man? 15, you gave me 15. Look, so I gotta make it 16. I get to make it now 16. But now I have to go and do my least favorite thing now is circle and space. Before we do circle, we gotta do space. Then we gotta do circle. And I'm only doing this over and over so I hate it. And then when we add the macro system, people will be like, oh yeah, that's the ticket right there. But I'm just trying to give things time. Because like I say in other videos, I'm so used to spastically jumping from idea to idea. And it just isn't healthy. Healthy for me. It's healthy for my process because I need the thing. I'm JG Wentworth. I need functions and I need it now. I need to solve this problem yesterday. In fact, my goal with 3D now is to try to solve these problems like very fast. You get there so fast when it comes to this because, you know, I was falling into a mindset of, okay, I guess I'll wait a few years for this. It's like, wait, I'll wait for you. I'm going to die in a few years. I mean, I'm not literally going to die, but I'm just saying. People are dropping bombs everywhere, and these bombs ain't even hitting. I ain't trying to wait for bombs. I press F there just to jump over. And I apologize. My keystroke display isn't working right. And I mean, they want me to reboot the computer. Big Power wants me to reboot. All right. Y'all can debate in the comments. Do you ever turn off your computer? Because I don't turn it off. I just walk away from it. And as a result, I don't know. Maybe it's made the computer a little weirder, but, you know, I just walk away from it. I'm like, good night, computer. Goodbye. Don't be dead when I wake up, or I'll kill you again. But, you know, I spent a lot of time before recording mad at this computer. Like, seriously, it's like freezing. I'm actually doing this because I started freezing on an EVA part, not the Blender. Blender's freaking glorious for the power of Blender. In fact, as long as Blender is stable as a rock, I can't really say anything, you know. Blender can get weird with the auto smooth. They can screw that thing up. But I mean, if the thing's running like a doped up racehorse, then what do I have to complain about? The will of Blender is being served and honored, and that is just beautiful. That means that plans can proceed and we can get to our goal. But I imagine for this entire tool's lifetime, I will just be always inundated with comments of, oh, it's like this. Oh, it's like this. It's like this. It's like, okay, thank you. I mean, all you can do is thank people because everyone's a potential customer. So, I mean, I don't know what your goal is to make me do. You know, is it to make me sad? Because, you know, any correspondence is correspondence. Gotta love talking to the humans. And I spend all my day talking to humans, so everybody's a different flavor of just human to experience. And that in itself is a pleasant experience. You know, I have this overall on the side, and I don't know, I'm kind of into it. I'm kind of into this left-handed dominant workflow, and I don't know, it's not the smartest. I'm just messing around. Like, that's how I have fun. I have fun in my life placing windows where they're not supposed to be, or just in different places. You know, like, you can call me left-handed nsolve now, because that's how I rock now. I'm that left-handed nsolve boy, and we'll just knife our way up here. And I had a buddy, you know, send me a link. They're like, yo, this bad thing happened to your product. I'm like, well, yeah, I guess it's kind of bad, but also in another way, it's baked into the cake, you know. Being in add-ons for this many years, there's a few implications that I warn people about off the bat, and they're like, what, why is that a thing? I'm like, no, look, First of all, it's just a thing, and it's beautiful, and you just have to get used to it as an inevitability. So that's why you have to be effective in this amount of time to basically equal whatever financial goals you have, because whatever goals you have, they're going to be smashed by people who just basically only want to see you lose. And losing is also fun to see. Like, it's probably the best to watch other people fail. Like, I mean, we love it. It's like so delicious, right? Like, it's like, ooh, look at that idiot failure, and his dream going down in flames. You know, I mean, I'm thinking about myself failing, and I'm like, ooh, that'll be so delicious because I'm insane. But I'm even more insane that I look forward to such things, and also baked all of that into the cake. Like, when I say baked into the cake, I mean when I was talking about the plan, I'm not talking about the plan of the software. Obviously, that part's easy. The plan is the part where everybody's being asshats and just being difficult and resistive. Like, of course, I already pictured all that. People are not going to get with this thing. They're going to have to watch it go through 3 price hikes, and they're going to be like, wait, so this thing is just going to keep going, huh? It's like, yeah, it's going to really keep going. I think it's being built for the long haul in a way that Hops Cutter has not. In fact, there's lessons that I aim to learn from this that will be taken back to that tool, both of them, and then they will be taken to their next levels. But in order to do that, there's some data that's needed, and there's just some things that you just can't test in mass. You know, I wish that I could, but Hops Cutter has grown so big that, you know, with every customer who picks it up, I'm just like, oh my God, another one? Because every customer who picks it up is like a commitment into the future that has to be dealt with. And I do now have a reputation for keeping a tool alive, and, you know, so does everyone else. So there's a degree of reliability that doesn't match my physical vitality. So these are things I actually worry about. Like, I worry about, like, being strong. Like, you know, I take care of my body because I care about the products, not because I care about myself, which I know sounds weird. You're like, wait, you don't care about yourself? It's like, no, I don't. I only care about the cool tools. The tools, the products, the shrines are all that matters. Keeping them tended and watered and shining is all that matters. You know, even the whole time I was away from YouTube, these tools never squandered. They just would have their brief moments because Blender is always going to be working us. It's like a boxing match. That was one thing my editor pointed out. He's like, you know, you sound almost adversarial when it comes to Blender. I'm like, yeah, it's like a domestic thing. Like, I love Blender, but Blender also will show us who's boss by changing everything. And sometimes these changes aren't entirely understood, but I do see that they sometimes are very costly. And I mean, that part actually adds to the humor of it because, you know, it demonstrates that, you know, the tools have to be strategized a certain way if they are to live for an extended period of time. So I'm not saying I deserve credit or anything for them living on. It's truly the testament of everyone who participates in keeping them alive, but it is definitely a full-time job keeping them alive. Like, I see that add-on preservation has a little bit in common with like video game preservation, and I'm not saying that my job is as noble, but if you don't take it seriously, your tool will be dead. You know, I spend a lot of time talking about, oh man, this tool's damn dead. This tool is part of Hops in the Hops lore is damn dead right now. You know, and they're free tools, but, you know, and because of that, there is zero incentive to maintain them. But it's just like, wow, I need this tool alive, and I need this tool to move forward, and I need this tool to be alive, and, you know, obviously, to do that is not a matter of will. It's a matter of, and then I would put in a GIF of palms being lubricated and greased. But yeah, it's a matter of incentive. Like, and you know, it's a difficult battle to keep the tools alive and going forward, and in a direction that, you know, also attracts new customers. Like, it's when I call myself Jerry Naga, you know, not the N-word version. Hopefully I cut that joke out. I don't want to offend other people as well. I think that might be why I took it out, is because I'm not trying to actually offend my friends or anything. Um, I'm just trying to have some fun here, but I think some people do kind of have a tendency to misunderstand me, and that's also fine. But hmm, I always have to just keep topics pretty basic in videos, just in case I'm misunderstood, because it's easy to take me out of context. I'm a crazy person. That's why I always have to preface everything with, yes, I'm a crazy person. I might have been crazy before the tools, but I'm definitely crazier after the tools. So, if I met a person who's in the fellow add-on game, I'd probably give him a hug. Like, if I met Wazoo, yeah, I'd probably give him a hug. Same with Rudy or Ice King. I'd be like, yeah, let me at least give you a hug. I watched you live through a lot of stuff. Let me just say that. You lived through, you lived through it. Let me just put it like that. Like, I don't even want to relive, I don't even want to talk about some of the hardest moments to me, because, Blender will change it again. They'll be like, oh yeah, that hurt you bad? It's like, yeah, no. I can take the abuse. And I can. I look at it as strengthening the product through tests. Like, we gotta keep it tested. And the tools must be strong and tempered. But a thing that I do hear a lot that people tell me, they're like, why don't you just make your own 3D program? And at first I was like, but the glory of Blender, the holy empire of Blender. But then I had this other conversation where we were talking about Moy, and they were like, dude, you're still using Moy? I was like, dude, Moy never has changed. And I was just like, wow. That's the thing that keeps me using it. Sometimes you want something that never changes. I talked in another video about how add-on installations, when I inspect other people's computers, right? Like, if I go to your house and I inspect your computer, and I see that your add-ons are out of date, I used to be like, what the heck, why are you out of date? But now I get it. If it's broke, fix it. If it's not broke, though, what are you doing? You're wasting your time. Why mess with it if it works? And it's made me realize, like, I never thought of things like that. I've never tried actually designing that way, of just like being just there and just being out of date. And I mean, I don't know. You're probably thinking you could easily make an out of date design that just is able to sit out of date. But no, I'm a weirdo. I have to think about a product in the form that's able to be out of date on people's computers by design, and it's greater like that. And I'm not saying that this tool is it. I'm just saying I have a lot of ambitions that are just not completely realized. Like, I mean, right now everybody's comparing it to this tool to certain tools, and that's great. That is very great. I wonder what those comparisons would be if I would have been able to just get my entire scope at the beginning. But if I would have outlined my whole scope at the beginning and then try to get it, like, I would have also dealt with a lot more resistance, I'm pretty sure, because nothing makes me madder than being told, oh, this idea, it can't even exist. I'm like, it can't even exist? They're like, yeah, it'll never exist. It's like, never exist? Dang. Is that how technology is now? We have stuff that can never exist? I mean, we're talking about operators, bro. And that is bad. You just don't want to be caught in that. And that's why I talk so highly of things sometimes, is because I dealt with so much resistance. So it's like impressed me and my caveman brain. So I'm probably impressed by the most basic stuff. You're like, oh yeah, pre-selection ain't nothing. I wish that was the response that I got when I said I needed it, because I needed it. Someone just wrote me and said, hey, JD Vance, guarantee the next line is something I do not give a damn about. Unless it is a couch joke. If it's a couch joke, I'm there. But if it's actually about politics, then, no thanks. And here we go. We're just sliding. And we want to just take a look at what we're dealing with here. And we just got that knife on main. You know, with knife on main, it just means that we can just destroy. We're the destroyer of worlds, right, with knife. Because if you wanted to beat nsolve, all you have to do is just make a knife. Just make a knife. And that's it. You just build the whole tool around a knife. Like if the concept of this tool ran from me, like, or was taken away, I would just simply make a new tool, start it from knife. It would just be knife the tool. Like, what's crazy is I almost got sent out here to fight without neither nsolve or nflow having a knife, and I'm like, yo, I can do a lot of things with topo, but I can't solve topo without no knife, man. Because you can just, topo is just like the straight line in Tetris. You just get in there, brother. And we're just starting and just dancing down, and I'm just so used to it being in this particular behavior mode that watch me become addicted to it and ask for it to be a mode that we're able to check back to. Be like, no, I need that retro knife, that retro V02 knife. So I expect that things will be kind of liquid as far as scope and ambitions, at least until version, let's see, we're at 002, so probably 020. And then after that, things will look very stone. Not saying that that's like a good time to get in, because, you know, a good time to get in is now. You want to get in on it. Or you don't want to get in. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you get in or not. All of that is baked into the cake. Like, I was expecting the world to hate this tool. Like, I was expecting that in the cake. Like, and when I say cake, I mean when it was being planned, I was like, ooh, the world's going to hate this idea. They're not going to understand accessibility. Because the moment you start talking about feeling good while modeling, people are going to be like, wait, I don't feel good while modeling. I don't feel good at all. I hate life and I hate everything. And all I have in my heart is hatred now because the world has scorned me and all my dreams are dead. So as a result, I no longer am of that type of persuasion. You're not gonna be able to talk me into having light. I'm on the dark side. So, you know, and I feel like there's a lot more of that in the world now. And I literally call it the rain, and that's how I made the resolve to go on. I'm like, okay, so if the world is full of rain and these people exist for no other purpose than to basically be negative and to create negativity, then I can work with that. I can work with that. You know, that sounds like my family growing up. I can live with that. It's very weird, but you know, it's like, wow, no one's gonna try hope, huh? I mean, and then I see that we tried that in like 2015 in America, and that didn't work out. You know, hope. But no, I'm bringing that hope back, guys. It's just gonna take a moment. First, the tool has to be perfect. It has to be perfect, and it's going to take longer than I thought. I'm like, maybe it's harder. It's hard to get things right now. I don't like that. Like, I wanted to come out and be the Donald Trump of topology. I mean, I wasn't going to, you know, be racist or anything or get all crazy, but, you know, I just saw him giving very spirited speeches, and people were cheering for, like, historical inaccuracies. And that part, like, really affected me. I was like, wow, this is just amazing. Are you saying that people will cheer for anything if said with spirit? And, I mean, that's what I was hoping for. I was hoping that, you know, by being spirited, that people would cheer. But instead, the people drew their poo. Just playing. They're not. The tool is doing great. It's not designed to be a winner. Not designed to be a winner. Hops was designed to be a winner. Now, if Hops became a loser, that's a different story. But it can't be a loser because it has too many functions, and it's about to get too many more. Like, in fact, like, my strategy now is to give it the blocks that this tool is going to need, and it'll just be perfect because, you know, support issues will continue to be processed through the correct channels, and all this tool has to do is just look good while doing it. And we're just looking at this, so how do we want to solve this? I'm thinking maybe something like this. I mean, really, this is a big old flatty, so why even be obsessive? I mean, and we can always hit this with a redirect, and we have the option under slide to be multi-element. That's why slide is getting weird now, because I'm experimenting with all the different options, and every option has a chance to be annoying. It has a chance to be annoying. What is the right option? I don't know. Really, the question is, what's the right default? In fact, that's the best question about this tool that I love, is I want to always be pondering, what's the perfect defaults? Like, whenever that discussion kicks off, it will be the most exciting talk to me, because we're deciding, what should the meta be? What should a person who signs in for the first time experience? And I mean, you're like, yo, that's boring. That's your job. I don't care about that. But, I think over time, it'll become more interesting. And I'm starting this early in the day. So, usually early in the day, I'm able to just model. And I'm able to just keep modeling. And, there's no pain in the body. And everything feels good. And that would actually be a crazy thing to be insulted by, is if I was told, hey, you're not actually experiencing bodily pain when you're modeling. I would actually flip out over that, because I'd be like, my arm begs to differ. I show them my Hulk arm that's just hulking out and throbbing. But just keep modeling. Like, when people are like, yeah, I'm just starting Blender and I'm thinking about picking up a tool, I'm like, oh my God, I just want to tell them, please don't buy it. You should go get your arms broken. Let this program set you up. Let this program do you right. Because one day you'll get it. You'll get the joke about class action loop cut. It's just, right now I'm just a stupid guy being stupid, and that's also funny. Maybe a long time later, after AI's already replaced us, it'll make sense. But, don't think that I'm an AI bootlicker. I want humans to be exceptional. And I stand by that. I do want humans to be exceptional. Humans. I mean, we can't make machines exceptional. We can make them use exceptionally less power. We need to do that. But we can't make humans exceptional. I mean, we can make humans exceptional. Sorry. We can't make humans exceptional. That's like the reverse. All right, let's press D, jump over Selecto, and boom. It's just easier to do that. And we're back in solve mode, and just the fluidity in which I'm able to jump in and just get to work. And as I use this in testing, I was like, wow, I don't think people will get it. People won't get this. But I think people are getting it. As long as y'all keep comparing it to other stuff, I'm like, yeah, it's like that. It's like that, I think someone mentioned something very close to it that actually did resonate. I won't quote them, but they totally did have a point. I was like, okay, that is good, because a long time ago I saw Z Modeler being introduced, and Z Modeler looked like a good idea, right? Like, I got in ZBrush, I was using it, and I was like, okay, this could work. And then I kept getting blind in that right click menu, and it was like, okay, so Z Modeler's not going to work out. But it was a good idea. And I'm not saying this is based off of Z Modeler, but I do feel that it is not based off of Z Modeler. To be based off of Z Modeler, I could be more like Z Modeler. So, also, using my config, where I have control to bring up my edge loop, maybe the guy I was testing last night, who had his just lazy, just active all the time, maybe he's smarter than me, because I now miss it. I'm missing having a always active loop cut. And what's crazy is I have the ability to experiment with that meta as a configuration. So instead of having to go in and redo my configuration and save a different configuration file. And also, part of the scope of this product is to try to keep everything fairly simple, because I don't want to have to deal with the whole destruction aspect. Like, hops has been destroyed in so many different ways that it's almost like baked into the job description that when you're dealing with hops, you're a repairman, versus the former role of Rockstar Gladiator, which was much beloved, except it resulted in me getting things that were not able to be done properly or maintained or even like planned right or ascertained as far as credit goes. I mean, really, to me, I look at hops as a giant Theseus ship, right? Because everything has been made and remade so many times that, you know, anytime is discussed about the origin of an idea, it's just tough because, you know, every idea was born one way and then basically went through like the craziest iterative process of evolution, culminating into the final version that you're using. Like Mirror is like my favorite because, you know, it started off so rough and people hated Mirror. So if you're coming into hops and you're like, I love Mirror, well, you are one of the new Mirror people. All right, because there was a time when we first added it that people hated it, and they hated us. They hated us for adding it. They were like, "How dare you redo Mirror and make it, you know, this and this? Like, why would you do this? You're stupid." Like, it was terrible, and that really acquainted me with Rain because, you know, in the end, Mirror is just Mirror. You press Alt X. I was talking about how when it didn't work for this tool, it was a very serious situation. Like, it's to me, that's like, I can't live with that. You know, if I jumped off of a bridge, it's for that. It's going to be because nflow wasn't able to launch Mirror with Alt X, and people are going to be like, "Wow, MX lost his life over a bug." I mean, I'm just making jokes, of course. I tried to ask Siri to play me a song the other day called "Killing Myself Again" by Dead Star Assembly. Just a little insight into the type of music I listened to, or at least did when I was a teenager. And they gave me the number for the suicide hotline. Made me so mad. I'm actually over here trying to ask for a song to be played out of my library. You think I'm suicidal? I'm driving a car. I'm in a great mood. I'm on my way to go get breakfast. Like, what, you think I'm... Hey, Siri, activate Killing Myself Again because it's a Tuesday and I failed last week and the week before. So, get out of here. This is technology just not working out. Also, if my phone was listening to me make suicide jokes and it suggested suicide assistance or, you know, talking to someone about it, to be honest, that is kind of a pitch to not be around anymore. All right, it's like my device is already listening to me. They're about to start hitting me with the happy pills. Not all ideas are good ones. You know, there is such thing as being too helpful. So I'm looking at this and I'm just thinking about how to solve this, and we could just solve it like that. I mean, it's such a small part, and I just wanted to get in here and have some fun. I mean, as y'all see, I have a problem talking too much, and that is the purpose of these videos, is just to get in here and BS, you know, have a little nsolve podcast where, you know, if you have, what is the product? Is the product, or is the product the podcast? Is the product this endless conversation we're having while we're playing with polygons, where we're actually having a good time and talking about strategizations and ways to survive in this destitute future? Or are we going to sit here and talk about how we're dead and we're all going to die and there's no hope and we should all just give up and, you know, all that? I mean, we can, it's just not as productive. It really isn't. There's other things that we can get on with. I mean, also, you know, I've already went through that stage of AI. Like, I already went through it. Like, the part where I'm like, oh my God, it's over, it's over. I get hit with that probably once a day. Once a day, I'm like, oh my God, all my exceptionalism melted. I'm melted. I'm useless now. You know, I start freaking out, and then I'm like, wait. No, calm down. I was always useless. You know, I was about to make a religious joke there. I just can't help it. They're funny. I come from a religious family, so I'm always making religious puns. Anyone who actually knows me in real life, they'll be offended by it because they're like, why are you saying such a thing in a video? We raised you better than that. And that's also funny. It's like, no, you didn't. I'm a terrible person, and I keep telling you that. And now, you know, I have a million videos to express that, in addition to the million of videos I had before. Not putting on airs, you know, that's for the cats. You know, when the cats come in here, I gotta straighten up. I gotta be an upstanding citizen because I don't want them to look down on me. All right, like Apple thinks I'm the best. She thinks I make the sun come up every day, and you know, I can live with that. She's a good kitty. A long time ago, someone once told me, "You don't need fans. You need a cat." And I was so offended. But now I have a cat, and I'm like, oh my god, this cat is the greatest fan. Like, Apple just chases and runs around, and they get hyper, and they do bring me a lot of happiness. Like, if you want to, like, really do me in, you could come to my house and, like, literally punch my cats to death. Like, I think about it. Like, I might write some fan fiction on that because it's a funny idea of someone who just is so psychotic they'll go to someone's house and they just take their cat in the back room and just knock its lights out. You know, a couple of man-sized human punches on a cat, and you could probably do a person in. And then you're like, "Hey, thank you for letting me borrow your roller skates," and then you would leave. Little do they know that you like basically destroyed their cat, right? And I'm telling you, that is how AI seduced me. I'm telling you, I was writing fan fiction, and everyone's telling me, they're like, "Yo, let it help you." I'm like, "I'll never let AI help me. I'm a human. I'm an exceptional human." And I mean, I'm not even an exceptional human, but you know, I'm an exceptional human. I'm just too hard on myself. We cannot just accept ourselves as just less. So, and I see that, you know, without us, AI is dead. Like it just inbreeds on itself data wise, and there's no use for it. So I see a different future, a future y'all do not want to hear about, by the way, but it's a different future where basically people will be mad that they're not being used to train AI. They're like, "Man, that AI didn't even scrape my latest whip, man." Like, because, you know, we're humans, we're vanity creatures, so we're just not there yet, but one day we will care about the fact that AI is actually referencing us when it comes to educating other people, because as I deal with normies and their, like, things with AI, I'm like, wow, they will never catch up, and exceptionalism is probably dying, and that's, I mean, there's so many worse things wrong than AI itself and generative AI. I mean, maybe that's the thing you should be obsessed with, but to me, I think it's the death of exceptionalism. I'm like, wow, that's what that is the dark truth of 3D right there, is the pain, that pain, because that's like a deep sorrow, and I hate that. I hate that it's even a thing, that, you know, one day you're gonna get so good at art and proud and great, and it'll just all be scraped and taken away. Like, I mean, come on. How do you reconcile with that? Like, I had to look at water and think about it a lot, like, and I still do all the time. Like, it's just a breaking thing. Like, it's able to cripple me sometimes, except I'm like, wait, I could sell them data. I'm gonna sell them the data they need. That's what they need. I know, terrible. Not saying I'm an AI bootlicker. I'm saying I'm an AI scumlord. But I see that it's without a master and without a competent one, and that's only for now. We must master it. We must master it before it becomes at a level that we can't master. You know, there's a long time ago that Substance Painter was so new. I was like, hey guys, we got to get in. We got to master Substance Painter early. We got to master it right now, because this program is going to get complex. It's going to get complex. It's going to get nuts. Same thing with Substance Designer, except Substance Designer got so complex. After I saw the histogram scan thing, and they were dealing with values above 1 and bringing it, I was like, okay, I'm never going to be able to catch up in the Substance Designer stuff. I'm still hung up on that, like the histogram scan, and I don't even know how to describe it in a video without sounding like an idiot, but, you know, just the clamping of values above 1 and managing their values to create rocks and all these, like, dynamic patterns and combining stuff. I mean, it's a whole different tutorial. I mean, I'm over here cleaning up a gun talking about Substance Designer, but yeah, we had to get in early, and that's the way I see it with AI. So I've been through the 500 stages of grief. You're like, 500 stages? I'm like, yeah, 500 stages of grief. Like, I'm a complicated person. I really was hurt by it. I'm like, wait, we're scraped. We're scraped. Like, I was mad. I was very mad and very hurt. I'm like, man, these are the implications of the internet coming true, and I didn't even know. That's the part that got me. I'm like, man, I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot. I should have known that we were being scraped. Like, here I'm thinking like we're being stored by DARPA on a server in the back room. No, tech bros are scanning us and turning us into products themselves, and that's like actually worse. And The cold-hearted boot of capitalism is a retarded boot that won't catch up to technology quick enough to save us. So we're doubly doomed. In fact, we are already scraped. So who cares about the scraping anymore? We're already scraped. We were scraped yesterday. All our best stuff already taken when we didn't know. Now we can't even do our best stuff because they'll scrape that too, right? So we have to think about what we're going to provide. Like, how are we going to live in this world where everything we do is scraped? I know, a very morbid topic, but that was the whole purpose of doing this. I want to reiterate my feelings about AI because I don't want people to get the wrong idea. And it's so easy to because you're already catching me at the very, very late stage of all of my grief. At the very end, I've just fully accepted it. I see it on my girlfriend's phone. I see it on my buddy's phone. I see it on everybody's phone. I'm like, hey, you familiar with AI? They're like, oh yeah, it's on my phone now. I'm like, okay, so it's over. It's just over. It's just over. So we gotta just get over it. We gotta just get on with our lives. And do our lives stop? No. We have work to do. So sorry about that in-game rant, but the end note is work must be done, and we must get back to work, guys. Even though the world's going to hell in a handbasket, hey, I got a 3D model to sell you. Just playing, but that's a meme. I will end the video there, and I will come back for the next part.